Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Mechanical Marie Season 1, Episode 4. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So I brought this up last episode wondering whether or not we deal with the whole Arthur being sick thing or we just skip over it. It's like, no. It kind of makes sense that we would lean into it story beat wise, at least for a bit of the first part of the episode. I also thought that was such a weird scenario where like Roy's got that fake knife to Marie's throat and she's crying tears. I'm like, who was that for? Like, I don't know if that was Roy like trying to like scare Marie, and you know, because obviously she's like, she blames herself for Arthur getting sick because she's like, if I hadn't got so distracted by Roy and the information he has on me, but Noah and the information he has on me, and even Roy's like, wait, how does he have any information? That doesn't make any sense considering we got rid of all your records, which I'm wondering. I wonder does this have something to do with her family in some shape or form? Because I'm like, or maybe it's just supposed to showcase the fact is Noah's really good at what he does, or he might have a different source that might be trying to tackle this Arthur situation from a different angle. Because I'm like, he got that information from somewhere, so someone else has access to that, and I would assume the only people who would are either people who do know Marie intimately enough, like people she went to like has a past with, or like her family, which once again the only person we've really seen from her family is like her mom in a flashback. So I don't know, that definitely does seem interesting and suspicious. Like I said, it could just be that Noah's just that good to find information that no one can, or he has access to someone who can do something like that, or like I said, it's a little closer to home. We'll have to wait to see. That is kind of interesting. That was kind of a wrinkle that was brought up last episode, that it's like, you know, and Roy's reaction makes it even more interesting that even he doesn't have an answer to why that is. But Marie plans on taking care of Arthur, but he's pushing himself to work because he's got like, there's an anniversary party for the school that's coming up, and he's got his duties as a student council member. And he says this interesting line where he was basically like, people, like basically, I got this job and so many people were passed over. And he's like, I understand what that means as the heir to his family. So I think there's multiple ways you can interpret that. One is like, I have this job and position, whether it's as a student council person or whether it's being the heir to my family, and there's so many people that are overlooked. So I have to, as a responsibility, have to like live up to the full expectations of my responsibilities and do right by them. Or kind of on that similar note, it could be like, I ended up, so many people got passed over. There were so many other people who were up for this job, but I have it. And so for their sake, those who are dedicated to doing what they can to help people, because I'm the one in this position, I have to work doubly hard for those who were passed over. Like, I think that still could be applicable for his situation as an heir. The latter seems to be more so how I initially interpreted those lines of dialogue, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, he does have a strong sense of responsibility, but I think it also does stem from the need to feel like he has to prove himself to, I've said countless times, to other people and himself to prove that he is worthy of this. And Marie doesn't want him to push himself. And so Roy introduced her to an element. It's like every time Arthur's father got sick, there's something in a suitcase that would be used. But even Roy's like, I don't know what it is. But then he kind of has this look on his face, and even Marie's like, what's that about? So she eventually said, like, right, it's time. I even love the narrator being like, wait, it is? And she cracks open the suitcase, and she's like, wait, is this supposed to? And I was like, is it a uniform change? And it is. It ended up being a nurse's outfit, which wasn't, like, I figured it was going to be a costume change at that moment, but nurse outfit wasn't the one that immediately came to mind, which makes a lot of sense. Probably under other circumstances, it probably would have been a maid outfit if it wasn't for the fact that she wears a maid outfit 95% of the time, so. But yeah, she puts on the nurse outfit, and obviously Arthur's kind of captivated by it. And even Maria's like, does this really work? She's like, well, if it does, I'll put it to good use. Picks up Arthur, throws him on the bed, and he's like, oh my God, am I some kind of pervert because I'm fantasizing about, her throwing me to the bed in a nurse's outfit? But now he's like, well, this must be my fantasy. He says, go right, I could be thinking up something dirty like that. So she's telling him to lay down, even puts her forehead to check his temperature. He's like, oh, right. That's how a human would do it, but not a robot. And she's like, oh, crap. And then she's like, I have thermal scanners in my head. And he's like, oh, that makes sense. And she's like, he'll buy anything. But it's like, because his fever's so high, she's going to change he's going to change his clothes, and she's going to, like, wipe off his sweat. So it's like, and I love it. She's like, be a robot, focus, and not get captivated by the fact that he's shirtless. She's wiping him down, but we also see he has scars on his back. And he's like, yeah, they're so deep that they'll never go away. He'll always carry them with him. So a lot of physical and emotional scars with everything from his upbringing. He doesn't go into how he got them. I mean, I don't know if it stemmed from like the multitude of people that have made attempts on his life, but he made it sound like he had them since he was a kid. So it might just be like, oh, I went through a lot of crap as a kid because of my family circumstance. So like, I mean, we know he's kind of deal with this on a regular basis. People trying to kill him, kidnap him, so on and so forth, just because of his lineage and stuff. So it's just kind of a sad reality you just kind of become accustomed to. And especially if those scars are what stems from that, or it could just be like in general, I got hurt more as a kid. But considering his family circumstances, it feels like those go hand in hand. But Marie, like, holding on to him and realizing, like, despite everything, him always trying to be so strong. Because he's also admitting, like, he never shows those to anybody. And for her, it's kind of like, for me to be the person he's going to trust. Because he tries to always put up a good front for people because he feels like he has to present, represent himself off, as strong, and never show his vulnerabilities. But to be to the point that he's okay showing them to Marie, which means a lot to her. I mean, for one, it's like, I'm the one that's lying, but you feeling comfortable enough to share your vulnerability and weakness with me, I won't let you down. I'm going to redouble and triple my efforts to keep you safe, and I will never leave your side. I'll always be by your side. And so then proceeds to knock out 3 attempted kidnappers who got misinformation about Arthur's severely near-death door type of situation. I love the second guy she knocked out with that face. And he said, Zet's like, sculpture-y stuff. It's like enough, well made and sturdy enough to act as a bludgeoning weapon. And then the last guy just like pushed a ladder down and he crashed outside. But she puts Arthur to rest, and he kind of thinks, I think because of his fever and everything, is kind of thinking this is a dream. But then we also catch up with Noah and Maynard, which I love that Maynard had to come in with a golf club because I guess Noah just pops out of nowhere and scares. Even though like Noah was down there in that area, kind of basement-esque area, just sitting in the dark, just waiting, But yeah, he has Arthur's phone and hands it to him, and I think it's the recording from episode 1. Finally has it. He's maybe I misread that, but like, didn't he say like it was already deleted by the time he took Arthur's phone? So it could be other places as well, or it could also just be like Arthur needed it in that moment, but he wasn't going to keep it as continuous blackmail, didn't feel the need to, or maybe, like I said, maybe I misread that, and he was like, no, I'd already deleted it before you destroyed the phone, so it was kind of redundant to do that, but whatever. But Maynard's like, okay, because now Arthur, I guess that I never thought that's why Noah kind of probably like handled things the way he did last episode. It's like, he was ordered not to kill Arthur because it was like, I need to get close enough to him to steal his phone because if anything happens to him, that, Maynard's going to be the number one suspect and stuff. I mean, even though he is the one orchestrating and paying Noah to do all this. But when it's all said and done, he's now free to kill Arthur, but Maynard's like, no, I'm going to be doing it myself, so kidnap him and bring him to me. So, at a party, it's a costume party, all the hard work Arthur put in has paid off, back to school, hosting the party, feeling better, gets drawn away by a diet member that was in the party from, episode 2, and then we find out Noah got to this person and was threatening his family, which is sad. Which even Noah was kind of like, oh, like I would never know what that feeling is to kind of have your family as a voice. So I'm wondering, that kind of seemed like it gave insight to Noah's situation. So either he was like an orphan and he doesn't have any family and he was just trained to be an assassin from a young age, or maybe his family's not around anymore. Like, I mean, it could just be like he never knew them, or he did know them but lost them at a very young age. But he tries to drug Arthur, but Arthur fights through it enough. Granted, he's losing a little bit of his hearing and his sight, but the fact is, one syringe wasn't enough, so he had to use the other one, which he planned on using for Marie. And the whole thing is to use Arthur as bait, because he could have easily just taken him and delivered him to Maynard, but it's also because Noah is the twisted bastard that he is, because he wanted to also use this as an opportunity to draw Marie into a trap, which this time around she was ready to fight him because for him it's like, oh my god, even in this situation I've got a knife right next to your face. Oh, it's so glorious, Marie, that you look so unchanging. And she's like, yo, I'm ready for you this time. After our last tussle last episode, I decided to redouble and triple my efforts. I'm reiterating myself. To retrain herself to kind of be ready for it, and she does a better job holding up against him this time around. I do love that she was able to utilize the batteries that Arthur had given her at the party so that she could recharge. I love that she was able to use that, like one of them to smash the light, so they're all fighting in darkness. But Noah is good in the dark, which I'm like, well, it's not going to be just Marie. It's going to be Marie too, isn't it? And lo and behold, that's what happens. And Marie too proceeds to kick his ass. So I was like, and you can hear kind of a little bit of like the exchange as she goes, and the real Marie goes and rescues Arthur. But by the time they come out, Marie too has been defeated. But she fucked Noah up. He's bleeding and he's scraped up. It's like she did a number on you. So it wasn't an easy fight for you. But he's telling Marie, because Marie now finally realizes how she feels about Arthur. Because up until this point, she's been feeling something she's never felt before. And now for the first time, it's like, I finally realize what it is. I love you. She's in love with her master, you know. And like I said, she had made the promise she would never let anyone hurt him again. And she's going to stick by him. And now that she's revealed these feelings about him herself, and, even Noah's like, oh, the fact of the matter is, it's fine and dandy that you love him, but he won't ever love you because he's in love with Marie, the robot. He will never love the real you. But me, I accept you as you are. I love you for being like, the unemotional person in your face and stuff. I know other people probably chastise you and kept you at a distance because of that. And now, like, you will continue to go through your life unloved. But then we have Arthur covering her ears and is like, don't listen to him. And even in his weakened state, he's like, where are you? Whoever you are trying to hurt Marie, I'll take care of you. Even though it's dark, plus his vision is blurred because of the syringe. Like, he's just barely fighting, the injection. And that inspires Marie, where it's like, no, like, the fact is, I recognize what this is. I love him, and I won't let anyone harm him. And she proceeds to kick Noah's ass. Luckily, he was in an even weaker state, so she was empowered even more to kick his ass. She actually made her declaration out loud to Arthur, but he was already unconscious, so he couldn't hear her. But maybe on some level, even in the haze of it all, he did hear her, because later on he talks about the dream he had. So luckily that situation got resolved. Obviously, Noah was missing from school, and Marie thinks that's the end of it. It's like, well, because he's in the opening, I assume he's going to be a continuous nuisance. And lo and behold, he's jacked up at the school, and so he has to take a break from the whole assassin's gig. So he won't be going after Arthur anytime soon. Doesn't stop the fact is that Maynard will most likely hire other people to get the job done. Not less Noah's still getting paid, sick leave in a way, and kind of still on retainer. Who knows how that whole situation works, but he still makes it clear to Marie. It's like, cool, you love him and everything, but the problem is, now that you know how you feel about him, how are you going to handle, like, are you still going to be able to keep your cover up? Because the moment he finds out the truth about you, it's all going to go kablooey. But he's like, hey, the fact of the matter is, and once you have nowhere else to turn, you'll always be able to come to me. Because he wants to, like, go on hit gigs with her, because it's like, oh, we can make quite the pairing, but it's like she has no interest in him. By Arthur's side is where she belongs and where she wants to be. I even love Arthur calling out Noah and being like, the person who attacked me, he's like, sounds a lot like you. He's like, it must be your imagination, my guy. I just fell. And it's like, oh, did he fall? Sounds like a clumsy guy. I'm like, I don't know whether Arthur is picking up on, like, you really are that guy who was behind it, or whether he just takes it as, oh, I guess he is just, even though he's trying to be pretty and get towards Marie, I think maybe there's some kind of element of, well, even if I'm not registering him as my, like, attempted kidnapper and stuff, knowing that he might be handsome but he's super clumsy, and it's like, yeah, like, that guy, a guy like that could never be good enough for Marie. But Yeah, like I brought up before, that in Arthur's head he had a really nice dream, and where that was all conveyed. So like I said, it was in that haze, and he was just like, but he's almost like, yeah, it couldn't be, because it was very human Marie, and it's like, well, Marie's not human. So quite the episode of ending with, like I said, Marie figuring out how she feels, and this being kind of the first time, I think. And then Arthur having this dream that, probably wants to make a reality in some degree. Like, he still does love Marie, and it almost probably felt nice to have, probably had that dream come true of her feeling that same way. But that's a dream of her being a human, not the robot she actually is, even though, yes, we know she's not one, but still. So interesting developments all around. I also think it's neat, the ending. I think it's the same song for the ending, but they changed it a little bit, because I think it's even says in the credits. I think this is like the duet version of the song, and they changed it. And now it's like a whole bunch of like Marie and Marie too. That's probably only going to be for this episode. They'll probably change it back to the previous ending version or whatever next episode. But yeah, I just thought that was just kind of pretty neat. I mean, I guess it was kind of like a 1-2 punch of Marie and Marie 2 in this episode when dealing with Noah, so it kind of makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I'm really interested to see where the next episode takes us going forward. How Marie, like I said, balances how, like, now she is aware of how she feels. She can put it into words how she feels. She understands what this feeling is, that it's love. How do you balance that while trying to continue to be a robot, and what kind of shenanigans end up being the fallout of all of that? So, but really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.